Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, welcome to our little corner of digital space today. We're giving you a little break from working at home, sitting in front of a screen. So you can now sit in front of a screen, but with some lovely faces. So as people load up, I'll just do a few little bits of housekeeping. So I'm Ian Jindal, I'm the editor-in-chief of Internet Retailing, and it's lovely to see you all here today. I'm joined by Laurel, Wolfe and Deepak, Anand, and we'll introduce them in a second, but just first a few little bits of housekeeping. So we are recording the webinar, which means if you do get cut off or have to leave, then you can watch this later on. For those of you who are joining by the computer interface, then on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll have the GoToWebinar control panel. If I can just point you at that, there is a place there for questions. If you have any questions at all, do just let us know, and I'll be taking those as we go through the presentation. So that's all I had by way of introduction. We're going to have 35 minutes of conversation. So we may as well dive straight in today, looking at needs, and not needs in the normal way where we just talk in a sort of two-dimensional way about customer needs. We have an approach that Laurel and Deepak have come up with based upon a hierarchy of needs. And we'll be walking through that in the course of the discussion. So if I can just move us along, then well, I'll try and move us along. Let's already find, there you are, lovely. Now, two lovely people on the panel, Laurel, Deepak. Starting with you, Laurel, just tell us who you are and a thumbnail sketch of Klarna.
Yeah, so you could maybe go to the next slide with the Klarna stats on it. But hi, everybody. I'm Laurel Wolfe. I am a VP of marketing at Klarna. I primarily look after our entry into new markets, which is what I did for us here in the UK. I'm based in London, but I recently also launched Australia, Belgium, and Spain, and we've got a couple other ones on the horizon. Just a little bit about Klarna in case you don't know us or you haven't heard of us before. We let people buy now and pay later for goods. They can pay later in a variety of ways. One of which is probably our most popular product. It lets people buy things online or in store and pay in full 30 days later for the goods. They can also do short-term installments. It allows them to pay in 3 monthly installments. Both of those payment offerings are interest-free for the consumer. And then we also have more traditional point-of-sale financing. People can buy higher ticket items in payment plans of 6 to 36 months. So yeah, financial choices for people at the checkout. Klarna has been growing like crazy over the past few years. Just in Q1 in 2020, we added 6 million new users. We've had 85 million total Klarna shoppers. 200,000 merchants globally now in 17 markets, and more to come. And we have a nice stat here about 95% of shoppers are likely to revisit a merchant that has Klarna available. So it reflects very well to offer our payment options on the retailer. And we work with a bunch of great people, ASOS, Misguided, Shein, Luna, Expedia, Lenovo, Burberry, all different kinds of merchants and all different verticals, quite a lot of fashion, beauty, electricals, home and garden, outdoors. So any kind of merchant you might think that would want to offer payment options, we work with them. So that's it in a nutshell.
Before we leave the nutshell behind, when we first met, no one had heard of Klarna, and now everyone's heard of them. So
I did my job well, Ian.
It goes without saying. So it seems like you've now achieved your objective of global domination. What's next? What are you up to?
Yeah, it isn't global domination yet. I mean, we have other markets that we are looking at entering, and we have growth still to do in some of the newest markets. I mean, we only really just launched in Spain like a few weeks ago, so that's a market we need to grow. We obviously work with a lot of global clients, so we are trying to extend that relationship. H&M, for example, is one of our biggest merchants. We of course want to have a relationship with them in all our available markets, so working with them to expand. ASOS is the same way. We just launched ASOS in Australia, for example. So I think that's that. We also have other ways to interact with Klarna. We have a shopping app, for example, in some countries where you can use Klarna in our app at any retailer, so it doesn't actually need a direct merchant integration. And then we also have a card in some countries that we are also looking to bring out to other countries as well.
Great, lovely. Thanks, Laurel. Now, Deepak, second, not last. Tell us a bit about you, and also we'll change a slide because I think you have a slide here as well, don't you?
Yeah.
So yes. Tell us a bit about you and about BigCommerce as well, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ian, and thanks, Laurel. And my name is Deepak Anand. So I run commercial partnerships across Europe for BigCommerce. And I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to Klarna for bringing this idea to us. Because when we started talking to Klarna during this unprecedented time, and we were just talking about that the post-COVID, the world or the consumer behavior would be different. And we just wanted to bring some study or the research to the marketplace so that retailers who would be able to embrace the change early on will become the leaders in this space. And when they came with this idea, Klarna, they said that they wanted to talk about the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And I'm pretty much actually, we started talking about how they would be able to apply these needs of psychological safety, love, belonging, esteem, and the engagement or enrich experience, not just in their brand, but also with their consumers. So I think, Ian, you did mention about the two-dimensional. In this study, in the research, we talked about the three-dimensional. It's just about the consumer requirement, it's about the brand, and also it's about the technology. How we can bring all three things together, three-dimensional approach, and give the experience to the end user so that they feel personalized, they feel loyalty with the brand. And one thing which I wanted to say that to all the people who are dialed in is that what you're going to see in the next few minutes by Laurel, by myself, and also from Ian is that you would be able to apply these needs, or what Laurel will talk about, in your day-to-day life, in your brand, and not just because of the consumer side of thing, and also how you react, how you connect with other technologies as well. So just about BigCommerce, we are the leading SaaS e-commerce platform. We work with B2B and B2C brands, likes of Start Right Shoes, Grensons, a lot of number of brands we work with. Over 60,000 retailers work with us. And Forrester, the research and analyst, have put us as a strong performer, both in the B2B and B2C space. And the reason we work with these many brands, because we really lower their total cost of ownership. We provide them a technology with the SLAs, and also we build for growth. So if you think about these, BigCommerce mission is to help merchants sell every stage of growth. Think about every stage. So we can take the SMB, mid-market, and enterprise merchant on one full tech stack.
Wow.
Next slide, Ian.
Thank you very much, Deepak. So let's have a look at this hierarchy then. So Maslow, famous for this. I'm sure he's famous for other things as well, but just remind everybody what a hierarchy of needs is in the first place.
Yeah, so Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a famous kind of psychology framework that kind of goes through our stages of humans as growth. So from the very beginning of when we're babies, what are the very basic foundational things that we need? And as we grow, we self-actualize and we come to the top of the pyramid. So we've taken Maslow's hierarchy of needs and we've kind of put a little bit of a different spin on it for commerce, and kind of renamed some of the categories from function and safety, engagement, esteem, and enriched experiences. And this is how people might move through a buyer's journey. They might become a traditional customer, a loyal customer, and then a true brand advocate, which is where we want to get every shopper to. Every retailer would like to have true brand advocates, and how can they manage that? So we partnered with our friends at BigCommerce to explore what those needs are in today's day and age, physically and emotionally, to turn someone from a browser to a buyer and a brand advocate. How can retailers gain and retain customers and turn them into these brand advocates for 2020 and beyond? So we asked 2,000 shoppers recently some questions, and it definitely still pays to kind of follow these rules because people are still abandoning baskets all the time. 1.27 times per week a shopper is abandoning a basket, so it's still happening. So
wow.
You can go on.
And again, let's just maybe focus on the benefits. So if someone says, would you like an enriched experience? I go, yeah, of course, I'd love one. Would I pay for it? Am I more profitable? What is the value of moving someone from pinky and functional up to taupe and enriched? For people watching in black and white, that's from the bottom to the top.
Yep. So the real difference actually is basically what's on the next slide, but it says, you know, a normal shopper transact once, a transactional customer buys once, a loyal customer buys multiple times, and the most valuable customer is one that not only buys multiple times, but they tell their friends to go buy as well, and they tell their friends about how much they love shopping with that brand.
Great. Well, look, you're going to dig in to 3 of those attributes in particular. So let's maybe just move on to the first one we're going to look at, which is the function and safety part. So this is, if you like, the bedrock of the pyramid. Firstly, why have you started that one? It's foundational, of course, but is this because everything is built on that, and if so, how?
Yeah, these are the basics. If you don't have these things, then you're not going to be able to achieve the others. So it builds on itself until it gets to the enriched experience. So that's why we started with these. If your site isn't, if someone comes to your site and they don't feel confident in it, they'll never use it. So you'll never get to the next stage, basically. So when we surveyed the shoppers, these are some of the stats that we found. 46% of people are more likely to shop online with someone they trust, and 75% would abandon their shopping cart if they didn't trust the website's security or the UX.
And just again, help me understand this in practical terms. I understand the offline to online trust. So, you know, I know the shop, I've bought them before, so I bring my real world experience to the digital domain. But what are the indicators of trust? How would I know not to trust a website unless it says scammy.com and the website then says I'm going to steal your money? What are the badges of safety and trust that I can rely on as a digital consumer or browser?
Deepak, I think that
you could. So Ian, can you go to the next slide?
I can. For you, Deepak?
So, I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, Ian, so especially when
it's odd we had a slide for that as well, isn't it? Very odd you had a slide for that.
I think that, you know, I mean, very good question. I mean, especially on this time when there are new consumers are hooked online, right? So they want to make sure that they are shopping and they're sharing the data to the trusted websites. So what we do, I mean, there is a consumer requirement and there is a brand requirement. So what we work with, we provide them all the industry certifications, which they would be able to. Well, one of the key things is the PCI compliant under the GDPR regulation. So what we need to do is that they really have to understand that where they're sharing the data, it's all secure. It's all written in the terms and condition. I know nobody goes into the terms and condition, but this is very, very important. And also from the brand perspective, they need to make sure that when they're presenting their brand to the consumer, the uptime is such an important aspect of that. So we provide that also in our SLAs. And also working with some of the bigger brands like Google. I mean, the SaaS is one thing where the brands don't have to worry about the hosting, that their website is up and running. So we work with some of these kind of top 5 technology companies like Google Cloud Platform, the fastest and the most flexible one. And also we provide all the certifications like the ISO IEC 27001 certification, because that gives them the comfort to show to their consumers that these are trusted brands. And also there are a number of other technology partners we work with, Trustpilot is one of them, where they can just review the site. So these reviews are also very, very important. And why we started even working with Klarna a number of years ago is that because the brand they have built over the last few years, when they're giving the details to Klarna, which means they're trusted. And I know Laurel will be talking about the trust in the next few slides, but that is very important for us to bring the right solution to the consumer.
Right. But again, a retailer doesn't normally stick their PCI compliance or their ISO certifications on the website. So in many ways, these are sort of invisible underpinnings, other than, I suppose, the fact that the better your uptime, the better your speed, the higher you rank in search. So you'll just be more visible to the consumer. Thanks. If we look now at the consumer side, of course, from the Klarna perspective, there would have been a time when it was the first time I've seen Klarna, whereas now you have a situation where you have a brand recognition that rivals some newer retailers as well. So talk to us about the reassurance that you can give to consumers when they land on your site.
Yeah, I mean, it's things we've already mentioned, but kind of stuff that underpins how our products work. I know we have, of course, many people have heard our tagline of smooth with 3 O's, but that smooth is really a mantra that we bring to everything we do, not only our marketing, but the products we make and actually how we operate as a company. But ease of use, speed of site, fewer steps in the checkout, fraud monitoring, and then of course, very true to us is providing payment choice in the checkout. So give your shoppers financial empowerment. That might be with Klarna, it might be with other options, but give them those options. And then one thing that is a USP to us is that when you use Klarna, we have kind of a buyer's protection underpinning the transaction. So if the shopper doesn't get the goods, if the shopper doesn't get the goods or if they're defective, then the shopper does not have to worry about paying for those goods. We are covering that for them. So, I mean, we've got their back basically. So I think it's also picking partners who are thinking in that way and putting the shopper first. I mean, I didn't actually put in here brand recognition, but you're absolutely right. I mean, our brand has gotten stronger over the years because of our marketing activity and the things that we are doing directly to consumers. So that has certainly helped build that trust. We have become recognizable, and that of course feeds into somebody's desire to use us or to at least see us in the checkout and say, oh, I know what that is and I get that. Yeah. So I trust it.
So there's a bit of a chicken and egg situation around things like buy now, pay later. So I've got 2 questions about. One is, there's a statement which is when you transact, the transaction's done, you may not come back for a while. But if you've gone through a buy now, pay later transaction, the consumer will have a number of interactions with Klarna that are after the purchase. And so in a way, you're building, if you like, a transactional relationship with a consumer over and above the retailer, which leads on to the question, which is around buy now, pay later. Do you think that people's experience with buy now, pay later means they trust you when they see you next? Or is it because they trust you, they're willing to do buy now, pay later? Or are these things just not linked?
No, they are linked. And the other thing is that what of course helps us all the time is our merchants. So if our merchants believe in us and they do the integration with us, then they are also lending us a level of trust that the shopper sees. So, I mean, one of our first clients in the UK was Topshop. So people started to get used to seeing us there. They like Topshop. They trust Topshop as a brand. It helps reflect very well on our brand. So that helped us for sure at the beginning, and it continues to help us. But then separately, yes, we are developing a relationship with the consumer ourselves. We're responsible for collecting the funds after the transaction. The merchant is paid immediately in full for the purchase amount, and then we have to collect the funds from the consumer. So yes, that does mean we have a relationship with them afterwards to get those funds back.
Great. Well, look, let's move on then. So we're talking about the relationship. Let's just see what happens with that relationship. So the next part, as we ascend this pyramid of joy, is engagement. So just a reminder, here we're halfway up in the blue zone. So talk to me about what engagement means. It's such a marketing jargon word. How are you using it here?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it here is about like interactivity with the shopper, listening to the shopper. So 24% here of shoppers are encouraged by opportunities to provide feedback and be heard by a retailer. That could be across a variety of channels. It's not necessarily customer service, but it could be social. It could be in our case, post-purchase comms that we are doing, for example, with the shopper. And 39% of those surveyed said good customer service would encourage them to shop with a brand again. And that is something we've actually seen as a trend during the lockdown, the pandemic, is that people are having to do a better job with their customer service, to be more responsive, to answer more questions, and just to be more there, to be more present and available.
And here we have quite an interesting conundrum, which is given that things are quite uncertain at the moment, this is also the time you then want to turn to customer service. And this is a time when you go to customer service, it says, do not ring us because we're busier than usual, or half our staff is socially isolating. So you have half the people, 10 times the queries, just get lost, talk to us later. So some people have really not managed that. But in terms of customer service, some have been doing some phenomenal work to use the software, the technology, better messaging on the site to really make their customers feel happier and more willing to transact, even though so many things are up in the air. I think that's been a very interesting thing during the pandemic. Have you found at all that any of your clients are doing a fantastic job or have really risen to the opportunity to use these digital channels to connect more effectively or at greater scale with their customers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the next slide is a case study from a client of ours, Gymshark. It's not exactly customer service, but it's more about engaging with their community. So Gymshark's fantastic about knowing exactly kind of the passion points and pain points of the people that love to shop with them and talking directly to them, and then offering those shoppers a lot of other opportunities to engage with them, particularly on social. So during the pandemic, they did a lot of fun things to kind of get people to send them selfies, to just kind of like motivate the community to be more, especially when they couldn't be in the gym, but they were going to be Home Sharks. They even changed their name, did a little bit of a PR stunt to change their name to Home Shark, but still encouraging people to be active, just, change where they were active. So we have partnered with Gymshark before on co-marketing initiatives, for example, and it is really clear that's what modern personalization is about, engaging, interacting, and doing community creation. So I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job, and we are happy to be able to play our small part in that. Absolutely.
And I think we interviewed the COO 2 or 3 weeks ago, and subject to being wrong and misremembering this, my recollection of the conversation was that they didn't just look after their own staff and their consumers, but they realized within their ecosystem there was a sizable cohort of personal trainers, as they worked with them to provide ways that they could still deliver lessons, still maintain their relationship with the end consumer, because it was all part of that that connection. It was more than just a transaction.
Yeah, it is obviously they want to have sales targets to hit and sales volume, but they also want to make sure that they're supporting their community in the best possible way. And this has been an opportunity for them to really show how they can go above and beyond to know their tribe, basically, and be helpful to them.
Yeah, and in terms then of systems, Deepak, to enable this, to what extent is this something you can just do yourself, knock it together with a bit of social and pens and papers behind the scene, versus having it built into your e-commerce platform, your CRM, the whole technical platform, how does that fit together to support this, if you like, off-piste engagement, not just the transactional activity?
Yeah, so I think what we have seen over the last few months is that there are so many, as you would appreciate, so many of these brands, not brands, some of those SB offline retailers have set up the store and started providing local kind of a local support to the community. So one of the case studies we have is that one of a good friend of mine has set up a online store for the local brewer or a pub, and he sold out in less than 4 hours the entire beers in this milk bottles. So it's just kind of what we have experienced over the last few months is been unheard of, like how these smaller brands or smaller kind of off-license stores are selling the products using the technology which we can provide. You can really, and they can easily connect with their community through Facebook and Instagram, and they can also sell the products to different channels. So it's so easy now with this technology because we are just the enabler of bringing the brand vision to reality and working with, obviously, some of the other transactional piece of commerce as well.
Great. Well, let's jump from beer to beauty. So another example here is Beauty Fanatics. I know which one I prefer, but Laurel, just tell us a bit about them.
Yeah, this is an example of engagement that we helped to facilitate for a group of our merchants. So we knew that a top performing category, we saw a top performing category during the lockdown in the UK was beauty and wellness. So we were like, yeah, we need to be contextually relevant to support our retailers. The opportunity here is to support clients, but also talk directly to these beauty lovers that are looking for fab skincare and other wellness products, makeup, whatnot, and then talk to them across all our channels, particularly social, with competitions, deals, and influencer content. And this is a way for us to interact with our customers, to give them what they want when they want it, but it's also a way for us to also support 25 different merchants and get them in front of those passionate beauty lovers and shoppers. So from this campaign, it lasted a week. You know, we had over 50,000 outbound clicks to merchants from our content, and on average, generally, when someone is using our short-term installments product, we see a 55% AOV increase. So, I mean, it's also helping the merchants meet their targets as well.
And is this something you think you'll do more of, where you become the aggregator and promoter, if you like, rather than simply a service provider?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly our like long-term goal, and we're already getting there, is to be seen as more of a shopping service. We're a great way for people to buy and pay for goods, but we also want to be the introducer to shoppers of our fantastic clients. How can we help them perform better, get more traffic to their site, introduce more of their products to more of our passionate Klarna lovers? So that is definitely the goal, and we actually had to do it. We did it quite a bit actually recently, because that's the other thing, is people were at home, they want content faster, they're consuming content more quickly. So we did it for bikes. So we had a bike focus week. And of course, bikes have practically selling out. Halfords is one of our clients. Brompton's one of our clients. I mean, they're doing fabulous right now. And then we recently did one that was about sneakers. So for, we call it sneakerheads, but it was targeting sneaker lovers, basically. So I think it's finding we think about our marketing in tribes and communities, as I mentioned earlier, and finding people what they're passionate about. Not necessarily, we're not segmenting by demographic, we're targeting them towards what they love. So.
And I think on that note, it's worth just going on to have a quick overview here of clients, because this is something I think that is intriguing to me, which is as technologies become ubiquitous, you then start seeing similarities and differences by category, as well as, Lauren, as you mentioned, by type of consumer. So Deepak, that's quite a nice slide of clients there. You've been busy.
We've been busy. So I think the reason I wanted to bring this slide up is what we have seen or experienced over the last 2 years, that the market is moving away from this transactional type of businesses to a aspirational type of businesses. So how, and especially during this time when we bring these technologies or the payment options to the customer, we want to make sure that we bring that experience layer on top. So working as Laurel mentioned about the engagement and the experience. So I think what you're going to see in the next few years or even few months is that the retailers who will engage with their audiences more will be the only one who are going to survive over the next 5 years or 10 years. So I think working with Klarna, working with other best of breed technology partners, as we mentioned about the review systems and all, they would be able to engage better. And most of these brands are a customer of a joint customer of Klarna and BigCommerce. Is what they have seen, the reason they're working with them is because of the seamless experience or the smooth experience with trios Klarna provides, and we provide the technology and to enable them to serve their consumers.
Great. Okay, so we talk about the consumers. So now we're reaching the pinnacle, the peak, the tip of the pyramidal iceberg. What does this mean? So here we are at Enriched Experiences. Tell me more about them, please.
Yeah, I think this one's, people just they want more. They want a deeper relationship. This is beyond the transaction. It's doing something that is extra to really engage with the shopper. So 35% of the people that we surveyed are more likely to shop with a retailer associated with fun content and experiences. I think that content is really becoming particularly key. And 25% would visit a retailer in-store if they offered additional services like free Wi-Fi and drinks. I always use an example because when I was in college, I lived in Austin, Texas, and I worked at Urban Outfitters. And this is Austin, so it's a lot of live music. We'd have bands in the store. And we also had like a records listening area. So we'd have like vintage records and people could come to like a listening booth. It's really kind of interesting. I actually think that people could resurrect that now and it would be super popular. So, but yeah, we always had live bands in the store. So they're coming to see us for something else. Yes, exactly. Yes. I mean, records are cool. They're back in fashion now.
So young people tell me. I just remember them being warped things covered in dust. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. We were talking about music. So we've got Skull Candy here. And again, unless you are an audiophile addict like me with, 20 pairs of headphones, most people don't buy. So Laurel's idea of, once I've had the Skull Candy, I'd want to go to the shop and listen to music or see what they're recommending. This whole idea of engagement is an interesting one. But Deepak, they're your clients, so tell us a bit about this enhanced level of engagement and experience.
Yes, so I mean, this is a very interesting one, and the reason is because of it's an amazing global brand presence, and I mean, they've been really successful in selling in retail and on channels, right? So when they came to us, they were on a different e-commerce platform. I don't want to talk about the names of the platform they were on. You can always read it. But what they really wanted to do is that they wanted to actually engage with their audiences, and also they wanted to roll out instead of waiting for like 10, 9, 8 months, whatever the timings they have to wait to roll out a new site. They just wanted to have a quicker time to market. And working with us, they've seen that how much improvement they have seen with the engagement with their consumers. They can roll out quicker time to market. And if you see the stats, it's a 25% improvement in add to cart and 50% improvement in conversion just by moving from another e-commerce to us and thinking about their consumer as we talk about their hierarchy needs of consumer engagement or enriched experiences. So this is such an important element to this, that how you can apply what you've learned today from the Maslow hierarchy of needs is in your day-to-day businesses. And there is another one, sorry.
Yeah,
Ian, we talked about is that this is another joint customers of ours, and you can see that they're also were on different e-commerce platform, came to us, and they've seen, wouldn't be able to quote the numbers, but they've seen a massive increase in their conversion rate. And now they're seeing the speed has gone up, the checkout performance is superb. And also now we are working with them very, very closely and making sure that they can also, in case they want to launch a new different sites, how exactly we would be able to give them the benefits of what the information we have and provide them right technologies. So I think what I have learned from this research is more around that these needs are really important from the consumer side of thing and a brand, and also from the technology and how we would be able to use it on a day-to-day. And when you go back and just look at your site, are we providing these needs to our consumer? If the answer is no, I think you should take a copy of the research and just think how you can apply it starting now. I think that's what my last few lines would be.
Good. Well, look, we've been talking web, but this doesn't look very webby to me. This looks like a big pile of bricks, Laurel. So talk to us about this subtle bit of branding here.
So again, this is an example of us kind of providing a platform for our retailers to engage with shoppers. This is something we did last year, obviously before all of the stuff happened. House of Klarna in Manchester for about a week and a half. We had quite a lot of our merchants in this pop-up location. A lot of these people are pure play, online pure plays. So this is also a chance for people to actually touch and feel the goods that they wouldn't normally get to see in person. So we also had it combined with content. So, talks with the retailers, or with Grazia was there, for example, with House in Holland, Henry Holland doing a talk, fashion designer. We did styling sessions. We had a nail bar. We had workout sessions, yoga. So it was an opportunity for people to have a deeper relationship with the brand, which we were lucky enough to be able to facilitate. So we had 30 different retailers in there, 7,000 visitors, and we were promoting it quite a lot in social and PR, so 6.6 million social reach.
Is this a marketing activity, or would you think, do you know what, we should do this year round? Any temptation to become a modern department store?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't. It's always been a wish of mine. Whether right now is the best time to be thinking about opening stores, I don't know. But I think it's really cool for us as Klarna to have a direct and physical interaction with our shoppers, because to most people we exist online, or a digital payment method. Yeah. It's not something you can touch and feel. This is a way for us to be real, right? So I find these things particularly enjoyable and fun from a marketing perspective. And I think particularly when we are growing our brand, we get a lot out of these. So, and Absolutely. Like I said, it's a nice platform to support our retailers. This is another example. I perhaps should have put this in engagement, but it's about next level customer service. So not something that we have facilitated, but something that we've seen from one of our clients that I think is really cool. But it's about how the online and the in-store can collide to make a really holistic omni-channel journey. So because people couldn't see these Brompton bikes in person anymore, they elevated their customer service to be video. So people could call in and they could say, hey, I want to see this in detail. I want to look at this. I want to look at answer questions right then and there. So I think it's a really nice way for a retailer to kind of do something maybe that isn't all that tough or hard, but is a better way to provide an experience for potential buyers.
And again, as a brand, they have obviously been a direct manufacturer, and in recent years have opened their Brompton Junction stores in order to celebrate and showcase why they are so wonderful, but also so expensive. So that's really great. Well, look, you've taken us up to the top of the pyramid. I've had a couple of questions in, which we'll come to in a second. But look, it's not all take in this webinar, it's give as well. So Deepak and Laurel have both been mentioning the report. So in case you're thinking, why did I only get 3 slides on that when there are many more levels in the pyramid? Fear not. On the right-hand side, in the handouts section, you will see a lovely PDF there, which has the research, all the slides, and a more detailed enumeration of what we've been talking about today. So fear not, there's no need to buy now, pay later. It's take now, enjoy later. So do just click on that and that's yours. Now, just in the final few minutes, just a question. I've had a number of people asking about what comes next. So as the on the payment side, obviously you've got the buy now, pay later for which you're famous. Are there any other plans for different types of financial activity, like citizen-generated currencies, different currencies, barter, group buying? Are you going to get involved in any of those, or are you sticking to your current list?
I mean, you never know, but I think we've got our hands full with some of the stuff that we're already doing. But I mean, there are interesting things that we're doing. We actually are heavily involved in open banking as well. I don't think people realize that either. But yeah, there's lots of things on our agenda. But I mean, some of it is managing the growth of buy now, pay later, and bringing it to new markets where it doesn't currently exist.
And in terms of the current market, what is your view of how the next 18 months are going to pan out? Because we've made it so far without anybody saying in these challenging COVID times or in the ever-changing world. So well done us for not saying that so far. But buy now, pay later is a great way of bringing purchasing forward. We know that the way you facilitate returns and getting the customer money back very quickly also keeps the wheels of commerce turning. Deepak, you're enabling more and more people to get online and take advantage of that. But we've gone from the thought of a V-shaped recovery and everyone will be hugging, kissing and spending as before. How do you see the coming 18 months for retailers? And if you had one thing to say that should be on their minds, whether hopeful or not, what would that be? Deepak, you've been quiet for a while, so I'm going to put this to you first of all. Your thought for the next 18 months and one thing for retailers to be thinking about?
I think if I'll think about the one need is engagement, right? How would they build the loyalty and the engagement with their consumers and the new consumers who are coming online? So that would be, and I think the new normal, which we call it, would be different than what we are living in right now. And I think giving the personalized, engaging experience would be the one who's going to survive in the next 18 months. That's
great.
It's
Thank
just
you,
my
Laurel. I hope you weren't going to say engagement as well, because Deepak's
I was going to say,
so
know your customer really well. Know your shopper. This is a great time to ask them more questions about what they really want from you and what you really stand for to them, and know that extremely well. I mean, the other thing obviously is maybe the basics of e-commerce. We've seen online super important. Imagine if you were someone like Primark, for example, doesn't even sell online. So for the past few months, they've had no money coming in, no sales at all. So I think if anything, it's knowing that you need an online presence in some capacity, and it needs to be good. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to sell everything on it, but you just have to have a portal into that digital world.
Great. Well, look, you have given us portals into the new interpretation of consumer hierarchy of needs. So thank you very much for that. A final note to everybody to grab the handout while you may, because once we turn this off, it'll have gone. You will get a note with a link to where you can watch this again, maybe download it to give us an early Christmas present to those you love and admire. Entirely up to you. But we can't go without saying a massive thank you to Laurel and Deepak, not only for doing the research in the first place, but being such good sports and joining us today and taking us through their research. Laurel, Deepak, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Good. All that's left now is for me to hit the end webinar button. So I wish you all happy trading, and may all your hands be sterilized and clean. Have a good afternoon.